If you've been following the channel, you already know how Saab reward the rules of diesel performance with the legendary 1.9 TTED. And we've already touched on how Opel scaled the exact same twin-turbo magic into the heavy-hitting 2-liter twin-turbo diesel engine. Because under the hoods of cars like Opel Insignia BiTurbo and the Astra K lies a masterclass in sequential turbocharging and a fair share of engineering quirks that every owner needs to know about. We are talking about massive low-end torque, zero lag, and a complex web of vacuum lines and actuators that make it all work. Today we are going deep. No more generalizations. We are tearing into the actual mechanics, the real-world reliability, and exactly why Opel's twin-turbo diesel are some of the most underrated and misunderstood engines on the European market. Let's get into it. In 2003, Opel showcased the technology in the Vectra OPC concept, co-developed heavily with Fiat via the GM-Fiat Powertrain Alliance. This engine took the standard 1.9-liter 16-valve JTD CDTi block and added a two-stage Borg-Warner turbocharger system. The engine output 212 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. For a 1.9-liter diesel in 2003, a specific output of over 110 horsepower per liter was absolutely mind-blowing. While it didn't see wide standard mass production in Opel badging due to the fracturing of the GM-Fiat partnership, this exact technological groundwork was handed over to Saab, then owned by General Motors, which commercialized it as the famous 1.9 TTED engine in 2007 for the 93 and 95 Saab with power of 160 and 180 horsepower. The heavy hitter, the 2-liter BiTurbo CDTi, produced between 2012 and 2020. Realizing they needed a flagship diesel to compete with German premium brands, Opel engineers took their robust 2-liter architecture and gave it the full production twin-turbo treatment. The first generation A20 DTR launched in 2012 for the facelifted Opel Insignia A and later the Astra J GTC and Astra J station wagon and Zafira Tourer. This engine produced 195 horsepower and a massive 400 Nm of torque. The second generation D20 DTR, introduced in the 2017 year for the Insignia B Grand Sport, the motor was heavily updated to meet strict emission laws, bumping also the output to 210 horsepower and 480 Nm of torque. How does this system work? This engine used a smart intercooling strategy that drastically reduced turbo lag compared to single turbo setup. Up to 1500 rpm, exhaust gas spun only the small high-pressure turbo. The air was fed directly into the cylinders through a small dedicated water-cooled intercooler for instantaneous throttle response. From 1500 to 3000 rpm, a bypass valve opened. Both turbos worked in sequence. The larger low-pressure turbo pre-compressed the air, which was cooled by a large front-mounted air-to-air intercooler before being passed to the small turbo to be compressed a second time. Above 3000 rpm, the small turbo was completely bypassed. All exhaust went straight into the large turbo to maintain high RPM rating and peak horsepower. Then the latest evolution of Opel twin-turbo diesel came with a smaller engine size because of emission rules. The downsized miracle, the 1.6 BiTurbo CDTi, produced between 2015 and 2019. By the mid-2010s, global automotive trends demanded downsizing. Engineers were tasked with pulling big engine power out of tiny displacements to clear tightening Euro 6 emission standards. Here is the 1.6 BiTurbo engine. The design, it was developed largely at GM's Powertrain Center in Turin, Italy. This engine belonged to the all-aluminum Whisper diesel family. It became the top-tier engine choice for the Opel Astra K, voted European Car of the Year in 2016, and the Opel Vivaro van. The WLTP trap. When it debuted in the Astra K, it made a punchy 160 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. However, when the more stringent WLTP and Euro 6D temp real-world driving emission testing rules came into effect around 2018, Opel had to add a restrictive SCR AdBlue system. To keep emission compliant, they detuned the engine to 150 horsepower.